Welcome to Overdrive. We are here with Ricky Brabec. Is that right?
Yep.
That's how you pronounce it?
That's how you do it.
He is the winner of the 2020 Dakar, the first American to do it. And this is the first time he's coming to India to show us this, the new Africa Twin. Now, before we continue, let me ask you, this is the first time you're coming to India, right?
First time here in India.
Can you imagine, this is also the first time the Africa Twin is being offered to the Indian audience with a manual transmission.
Really?
Yep. If you had to choose one, the DCT versus the manual, which one would you go with?
Actually, you know what? I've heard good in both.
Okay.
Being a younger gentleman, I would get the manual.
Right.
Just because you have the clutch. I guess it's more racy, I guess. The DCT, my mentor Johnny Campbell really likes the DCT. You know, it shifts on its own, up and down. It's really easy to ride. You don't need the clutch. You don't need to think about shifting. It does it all for you. I guess it's just whatever your cup of tea is, whatever you're comfortable with.
Right.
You know, obviously you're going to get what you want. Right. But for sure, if you're going on long rides, you don't want to think about shifting up and down all the time.
Or tackling the traffic in India.
Or doing the traffic in India, DCT.
Makes more sense. But if you were to take it off-road, if you were to go exploring, just the way they show on Instagram, just the way they show in the advertisements, you would take the manual.
Yeah, the manual, because you can make a big roost, you could do a wheelie. The DCT, I don't know, but I would assume it's a little bit harder to do a wheelie on a DCT. But yeah, I mean, it's whatever you prefer. If you don't want to shift all day, DCT. If you want to go through the desert, make some jumps, some wheelies, do some show or something, I'd get the manual. Just so that way you have the power and you can clutch in and out.
Right. So now that you mentioned all these things, the jumps and the rooster tails and everything, you come from a hardcore off-road background and now you have the best credential for it as well, the Dakar 2020 Championship. So for all the enthusiasts out there, in India, MX motocross has been there in bits and pockets, but adventure motorcycling is something of a new genre for the Indian audience. And it's very natural for them to, for all of us in fact, to sort of draw parallels between the two, the motocross and the off-road bits and adventure biking. So from your perspective, now that you've done both, how do you differentiate the two? What is the difference between something that you raced on versus a motorcycle like this that draws or builds on that same DNA?
Something that I raced on is, obviously it's a rally bike. It's a little bit faster, it's lighter, and you're not gonna adventure while you're racing. An Africa Twin is something that you'd want to get with all your buddies, go on a weekend trip, a week trip, or just around the world. The Africa Twin's great for that. You can put bags on the sides, on the top, on the tank. You can live off your bike for multiple days. The rally bike, it's for racing, it's for competition, so you're not gonna ride it down the highway at 130 kilometers an hour for 4 hours. You're not. So the Africa Twin is for adventuring. The rally bike, in my perspective, is for racing and being competitive.
Right. But when a person of your capacity gets onto a motorcycle like this, how close does it come to, say, an off-road bike? I'll not say your rally machine, but say an off-road bike. If you were to really...
If I were to get on an Africa Twin like this by myself or with my friends, it would be kind of relaxing for me because I get on this and I know that it's not capable to jump, go through the sand dunes at high speeds, and go fast through the desert at high speeds. So this is slow down, enjoy the scenery, enjoy the ride, and pull over, take photos, and just enjoy life. This is the ultimate adventure bike. So, if I get on something like this, I'm going slow and just gonna smile ear to ear and just adventure on.
There you've heard it from the champion, so set your expectations right and make the most of your motorcycle. Now, coming back to your championship, has it sunk in that you've won the 2020 Dakar?
Yeah, it's sunk in, but I'm not gonna let it get to me. It's just a race. It's a big race, don't get me wrong, but there's always more. There's always more to do. There's always areas to improve. So it's really cool to be the first American. Really cool to be on Honda and break the KTM streak. But like I said, there's always, someone is always working harder than you. The only thing I can do now is get home and just train for the next one or focus on doing something different.
Speaking about training, you mentioned that you had some really hardcore training in the Mojave Desert going into 2020 Dakar. So, how was the learning experience, and was there something new that you learned out of the new team and the new setup altogether?
There wasn't too much new. I mean, the way I train is just brutal. It's gnarly. So, I just learned to appreciate the sufferfest that my trainer puts me through. And, when we went to Dakar, it was like, it seemed so easy. So I really thank him for that. I had days where I hated it, but in the Dakar, it just seemed so easy, and I was really, really happy.
So, results aside, were there any hairy moments through the race, through the 2020 Dakar?
Yeah, Dakar is hairy every single day. There's always scary situations. So over the years, you just learn to prepare, and you learn like what to expect, and you learn like the dangers that are out there, and you learn to overcome them all. And that's part of training. For me, that's part of training. I learned to overcome the bad situations. So, the way I train is really unique, and obviously it's paid off. So we're looking forward to getting back out there and sleeping in the desert with the wildlife, and hopefully 21 Dakar is a good one.
All the best for the 21 Dakar. We certainly have our eyes glued to the race, and we'll definitely look forward to it. One final question. What do you think about the new recommendations that have come through for the norms and the regulations for 2021 Dakar?
Like slowing our bikes down?
Yeah.
I think that's the stupidest thing that they could ever do. Slowing the bikes down isn't that bad, but it's putting the restrictor on the air intake. So, in my opinion, that's so much more dangerous than having our bikes with full power. Just because if you restrict the airflow, then it's going to have a bog out, and having a bog out can drop the front end and make you crash even harder. So maybe top speed, if that was restricted, that's maybe okay, but putting a restrictor on our air intake is the worst thing that the Dakar organization could ever do.
Okay, I hope it doesn't go through. I hope that doesn't happen, and you have a great 21 Dakar.
Yeah,
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you.
Take care.